It feels like every time I turn around, something that seemed like pure science fiction is suddenly like breaking news.
Yeah.
Remember when self-driving cars were just a futuristic fantasy?
Right.
And now we're talking about AI that could potentially reshape entire industries, create art that rivals human masters, and even merge with our own biology.
Mm-hmm.
You sent us a whole stack of articles and research on the future of AI, and
Yeah.
let me tell you, this stuff is both exhilarating and a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, what's fascinating to me is how these advancements aren't just happening in isolation.
Right.
They're all kind of feeding into each other, accelerating the pace of change in ways that are hard to even grasp.
Yeah.
You've got pieces on everything from superintelligent specialization, which dives into AI becoming incredibly good at very specific tasks, to the rise of a whole new level of generative AI, to the implications for the economy, and even the possibility of something called massively distributed intelligence.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the specifics here.
Sure.
One article really caught my eye. It talked about AI systems like IBM's Watson for Oncology, which is already being used to help doctors diagnose and treat cancer.
Right.
And then there's Google's DeepMind, which has made incredible strides in medical imaging analysis.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about AI that can potentially spot diseases earlier and more accurately than human doctors.
Yeah, what's really interesting about Watson is how it uses natural language processing to sift through mountains of medical literature and patient data.
Wow.
It can then provide doctors with evidence-based treatment recommendations tailored to each individual patient.
Oh, wow.
A powerful example of how AI can augment human expertise.
But of course, even with these incredible advancements, there are always potential downsides to consider.
Right.
One article painted this chilling picture of a future where we become overly reliant on AI for medical diagnoses.
Uh-oh.
What if a pandemic breaks out and a flaw in the AI system leads to mass misdiagnoses?
Oh, gosh.
The consequences could be catastrophic.
Yeah, that's where the concept of explainable AI becomes so important.
Okay.
If we're going to entrust AI systems with life or death decisions, we need to be able to understand how they're arriving at those decisions.
Right.
We need transparency and accountability built into these systems from the ground up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just in medicine where AI is making waves.
No, not at all.
Another article focused on the rise of generative adversarial networks, or GANs.
Okay.
These AI systems are capable of creating hyper-realistic images, videos, even entire virtual worlds.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What's fascinating about GANs is how they work.
Yeah, how do they?
You have two neural networks competing with each other.
Okay.
One trying to generate realistic content, the other trying to detect fakes.
Interesting.
This adversarial process pushes both networks to constantly improve, leading to incredibly realistic outputs.
I saw some examples of AI-generated artwork that were absolutely breathtaking.
Oh, really?
You could barely tell they weren't created by a human artist.
Wow.
But of course, this level of realism also has a dark side. The article talked about how this technology could be used to create incredibly convincing deepfakes,
Right.
potentially fueling disinformation campaigns and eroding trust in our institutions.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The potential for malicious use is definitely there. But it's also important to remember that technology itself is neutral.
Right.
It's how we choose to use it that determines whether it becomes a force for good or for ill.
Okay, so we've talked about superintelligent specialization and generative AI,
Yeah.
but the sources you sent also touch on some even more futuristic concepts,
Right.
like human-machine integration.
Oh.
The idea of brain-computer interfaces and nanotechnology blurring the lines between our biology and technology.
Imagine a world where people with paralysis can control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts,
Yeah.
where communication happens directly between minds,
Wow.
where our senses are augmented by technology.
It's amazing.
It's a vision of the future that's both exhilarating and a little bit unsettling.
I read about a company that's developing a brain-computer interface that could allow people to control computers and other devices with their minds.
Really?
It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
But it also raises all sorts of ethical questions.
Sure.
What happens to our privacy when technology can access our very thoughts?
But that's a question that's going to become increasingly important as these technologies develop.
Yeah.
We need to think carefully about the implications for personal autonomy, data security, and even freedom of thought.
And then there's the potential for abuse.
Right.
Could governments or corporations use this technology to manipulate people's thoughts and actions?
It's a scenario that we need to be prepared for.
Yeah.
We need to have open and honest conversations about the potential risks of these technologies, and we need to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulations to ensure they are used responsibly.
Okay, we're just scratching the surface here, but this is already getting pretty deep.
And we've only just begun. There's so much more to explore, from the potential impact of AI on the economy to the rise of autonomous systems and the possibility of massively distributed intelligence.
I'm definitely ready for more.
Then let's dive back in.
Okay.
The next article you sent dives into the concepts of autonomous systems and robots, and from there we can explore the potential impact of these advancements on the global workforce. When we talk about robots, most people picture humanoid machines like walking around like us.
Right.
But the reality of autonomous systems is much broader.
Yeah.
This article you sent really highlights that.
Exactly.
We're talking about everything from self-driving cars and delivery drones to sophisticated systems managing power grids and financial markets.
It's amazing to think how quickly this technology is advancing. I remember reading about self-driving cars as a kid, and it seemed like pure science fiction. Now there are companies testing fully autonomous vehicles on public roads.
I know.
It makes you wonder, what kinds of jobs will these systems be doing in 10 or 20 years?
That's a key question, and it's one that's sparking a lot of debate.
Yeah.
Some experts believe that automation will ultimately lead to a jobless future, with robots displacing human workers in almost every sector.
Oh, wow.
Others argue that AI will create new jobs that we can't even imagine yet, just as the internet revolution did.
One of the sources you shared brought up the concept of universal basic income as a possible solution to mass unemployment caused by automation.
Yeah.
It's a radical idea, but it's gaining traction in some circles.
Right.
The article argued that if robots are doing most of the work, then perhaps everyone should receive a basic income to cover their essential needs.
It's certainly a provocative idea,
Yeah.
and it raises all sorts of questions about the future of work and the role of government in a highly automated society.
Right.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even with rapid advancements, it's unlikely that robots will be replacing human workers entirely anytime soon.
Okay.
What's more likely is a scenario where humans and AI collaborate, leveraging each other's strengths.
Right, like a team of surgeons working alongside an AI-powered surgical robot, or a group of architects using generative AI to design complex structures.
Exactly.
It seems like the real challenge will be adapting to this new reality and figuring out how to work alongside increasingly intelligent machines.
We need to be thinking about how to prepare the workforce for this future.
Yeah.
Investing in education and training programs that focus on the skills that will be most valuable in an AI-driven world.
The article also touched on the potential risks of autonomous systems, especially when it comes to things like military applications.
Oh
What happens if a drone malfunctions and makes a decision that leads to unintended casualties?
no.
Who's ultimately responsible in that situation?
That's a critical question, and it gets to the heart of the ethical dilemmas surrounding autonomous weapons systems.
Right.
Some argue that we should ban the development of fully autonomous weapons altogether, citing the risk of unintended consequences and the potential for these systems to fall into the wrong hands. Others believe that AI can actually make warfare more precise and less deadly, reducing civilian casualties.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's one that we need to be discussing openly and honestly.
Absolutely.
We can't just leave these decisions to the engineers and the military.
Right.
We as a society need to decide what role we want AI to play in our lives, both on and off the battlefield.
And those societal conversations need to be happening globally.
Yeah.
Because these advancements aren't limited to any one country or region.
Right.
AI is a global phenomenon, and its impact will be felt worldwide.
Speaking of global impact, another article you sent focused on the concept of massively distributed intelligence.
Yes.
It's a pretty mind-blowing idea, with AI systems becoming so interconnected and pervasive that they effectively form a global intelligence network.
It's a future where AI is embedded in everything from smart cities and transportation systems to healthcare networks and global financial markets.
Wow.
The potential benefits are enormous. Imagine a world where traffic flows seamlessly, energy consumption is optimized, and resources are allocated efficiently based on real-time data.
But there's also the potential for this level of interconnectedness to amplify existing problems. Oh. What if a hacker gains control of a critical system?
Oh my gosh.
Could they cripple entire cities or disrupt global supply chains?
Those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
And they highlight the need for robust cybersecurity measures and international cooperation to ensure the security and stability of these systems. As AI becomes more powerful and interconnected, the stakes see higher.
It really makes you think about who will ultimately control these systems and how we can ensure that they're used for the benefit of all of humanity, not just a select few.
That brings us to another key theme in the sources you sent,
Okay.
the potential impact of AI on the economy.
Right.
On one hand, AI could lead to unprecedented economic growth, automating tasks, increasing productivity, and creating new industries. On the other hand, there are concerns about widening inequality, as the benefits of AI may not be evenly distributed.
One article talked about the potential for AI to exacerbate existing economic disparities with highly skilled workers reaping the rewards while those in low-skilled jobs face displacement.
Right.
It painted a picture of a future where a small elite control the AI-powered economy while a growing underclass struggles to make ends meet.
That's a dystopian vision that we need to actively work to prevent.
Yeah.
We need to think about how to create a more equitable and inclusive AI-powered economy, one where everyone has the opportunity to benefit from these advancements.
That might involve things like investing in education and retraining programs, exploring new models of work and income distribution, and ensuring that the development and deployment of AI is guided by ethical principles that prioritize human well-being.
Exactly. It's not enough to simply marvel at the technological advancements.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking critically about the societal implications of these technologies and actively shaping a future that benefits all of humanity.
We've covered a lot of ground here, but there's still one more major theme to explore:
Okay.
the potential for AI-driven creativity and its impact on culture. It's a topic that raises all sorts of fascinating questions about the nature of art, the role of human expression, and the future of entertainment.
This is where things get really interesting. We're no longer just talking about AI as a tool for solving problems.
Right.
We're talking about AI as a creative force in its own right.
It's wild to think about AI writing novels, composing symphonies, or even directing movies.
Right.
One of the articles you sent mentioned an AI system that actually wrote a short story that won a literary prize.
Really?
It makes you wonder, will human artists become obsolete in a world where AI can create art that's indistinguishable from our own?
That's a question that's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that art is more than just technical skill.
Right.
It's about expressing human emotions, experiences, and perspectives.
Yeah.
Even if AI can mimic those things, there's something inherently human about the creative process that I believe will always be valuable.
I can see that.
Yeah.
There's a certain depth and complexity to human art that comes from our lived experiences, our flaws, our unique ways of seeing the world.
Right.
It's hard to imagine AI replicating that entirely.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe AI will actually enhance human creativity,
Yeah.
providing us with new tools and inspiration, pushing us to explore new frontiers of artistic expression.
I guess it's kind of like how photography didn't replace painting.
Mm-hmm.
It just created a whole new art form.
Uh-huh.
Maybe AI will do the same for music, literature, and other forms of creative expression.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And think about how digital tools have already revolutionized the creative process.
Right.
Musicians use software to compose and produce. Music filmmakers use CGI to create special effects. Writers use word processors and AI-powered tools to refine their writing. AI is just the next step in that evolution.
The article also talked about the potential for AI to create hyper-realistic virtual worlds.
Oh, wow.
It described these immersive environments where you could literally step into a novel, a movie, or even a historical event.
It's an intriguing concept.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to experience the world through the eyes of someone from another culture, another time period, or even another species. The educational and entertainment potential is enormous.
But it also makes me think about the potential for escapism and addiction.
Mm-hmm.
What if people become so engrossed in these virtual worlds that they lose touch with reality?
Right.
Or what if these worlds are used to manipulate people's perceptions and beliefs?
Those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
As with any powerful technology, there's always the potential for misuse. It's up to us to ensure that these virtual worlds are designed and used in ways that are ethical and responsible.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. It's incredible to think about all the ways AI is already transforming our world and all the possibilities that lie ahead. It's exciting, it's challenging, and it's definitely a little bit daunting.
I think the key takeaway is that the future of AI is not predetermined.
Right.
It's a future that we're actively shaping through the choices we make today.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be having these conversations, thinking critically about the implications of these technologies, and working together to ensure that AI is used for good.
And I have to say, diving into this material with you has been incredibly insightful. You've really helped me connect the dots and see the bigger picture.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed exploring these ideas with you as well. It's clear that you've put a lot of thought into this topic, and your questions have really helped us delve deeper into these complex issues.
So for all of you listening out there, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the future of AI? What excites you? What worries you? What questions do you have? Share your thoughts with us, and let's continue this conversation together. Because ultimately, the future of AI is the future of humanity, and that future is still being written.